This is fast developing this afternoon, Jake, amid pressure from the Trump-aligned FCC. And in the past few minutes, ABC confirmed to CNN the Kimmel show will be off the air, quote, indefinitely. We have not yet heard from Kimmel or his representatives. That's how quickly this has been developing. But let's back up and look at what Kimmel actually said on the program that has caused controversy. This is from Monday night in his Monday evening monologue. Kimmel suggested that the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk might have been a pro-Trump Republican. He said, quote, the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. He said in between the finger pointing, there was grieving. Kimmel was expressing what we've heard some other liberals say in recent days, that the motives are unclear and that maybe the suspect in this case was a Republican or was some sort of far-right fringe figure. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion about that in recent days. There's a lot of evidence pointing in other directions about the suspect. But Kimmel was on the air talking about this, making a very serious commentary amid his jokes in his monologue Monday night. Here's where it became interesting earlier today. The FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, went on a far-right webcast and condemned Kimmel and urged ABC to suspend him. He also talked about possible regulatory punishments of Disney because there are lots of different stations that have licenses with the FCC. Within the past hour, we've heard from a big owner of stations that have affiliations with ABC, a company called Nexstar, saying that they were going to suspend Kimmel's show on their station. So in other words, about 24 stations were refusing to air Kimmel's show tonight as a result of this controversy. And then following word that some of those stations were basically revolting against Kimmel, Disney, the parent company of ABC, decided to yank the show entirely. So that's all we know at the moment. We know that Kimmel will not be on the air tonight or for the foreseeable future because the network says the show has been yanked off the air indefinitely.
Brian, just to take one issue, your interpretation of what Kimmel said, I think, is the one that Brendan Carr had and the one that the individuals at Nexstar have. But what he said specifically was, quote, the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. That can be read in several ways. That could be heard in several ways. It could also be it could also be argued he's saying that what the MAGA gang is doing is just trying to make sure that they don't have any ownership of it, not necessarily that this killer, this horrible person, was part of them. I mean,
I think you're making a very important point.
Yeah,
you're making a very important point. And let's take it a little bit step further. This was all on Monday night. Nobody seemed to notice this yesterday, Jake. This all erupted in the past few hours when the Trump-aligned FCC chairman decided to point at it. Now, I've heard from him in the past few minutes, Brendan Carr, thanking Nexstar for doing the right thing by yanking the show. He has not yet commented on ABC yanking the show altogether across the entire country. But let's remember that when Stephen Colbert's show was canceled over the summer, what did President Trump say? He said, next up will be an even less talented Jimmy Kimmel. It is clear that pro-Trump allies have been trying to target ABC over Kimmel for several weeks now, and tonight they've prevailed.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. What do you guys think? I had not heard about those comments. Jimmy Kimmel is, pretty normal. I mean, I don't know. He's not an extreme guy. I mean, those comments seemed pretty benign, if you ask me. I mean, there's a lot of this going on both sides. There are people stretching to, pin this kid as, if this alleged shooter, because it hasn't been proven yet. They're trying to pin him as this far left figure, left-leaning ideology. And there are some others that are saying, well, look, he comes from a Republican family. He's from Utah. He likes hunting and fishing, and he's, aligned with some of these things. There's some text message threads that look like they've been fabricated, amongst other things. This whole thing has been an absolute bungled and boggled mess at this point. And we have a lot of time still to go, a lot of investigation before we can even definitively say, what the motives were, what the alignment was. Again, if I'm being honest with you, it looks like in a lot of ways he is aligned left, or maybe some of his motivations did come from that perspective. But again, it's still a little bit murky. And again, you going out and canceling, essentially deplatforming another of the mainstream left-leaning late night news shows. First it was Colbert, and then now we have Jimmy Kimmel going down, and who knows when he's going to be back or what that means for the future of his show. But this is part of exactly what we've been talking about, that they would use, or they could, or they will, or might use this in a sort of a shock doctrine way to start shutting down left-leaning voices for, you fill in the blank for whatever. I mean, those comments by Jimmy Kimmel were just pontificating, right? Just like pontificating. He's not saying like it was good that this happened to Charlie Kirk or whatever, any awful thing like that. He's just pontificating. So we are having people deplatformed. We're having left-leaning voices accused of, inciting this kind of thing. When you have just as much of the same pontification and same inflammatory language and all of that shit happening from the right. So what are we supposed to do about this? This is complete bullshit. People, the free speech warriors and champions on the right should be against this. If you are principled, you should come out against this. Because we are going to start deplatforming people. Like, look, he's on a corporate channel, which is inherently center right, politically, and so they are going to be reactionary and do that kind of thing. So I guess Jimmy Kimmel might take this as a lesson and say, hey, well, fuck you guys if you're going to let me, for making the slightest, insinuation or pontification about this issue that is greatly complicated at this point and confused, to have another perspective on it, and he gets deplatformed just like that. No, it is part of the mission. It is part of what they're trying to do at this point and moving forward. And this is what they're going to be driving on for the next few weeks, few months, few years, using this as power, as leverage in order to take away power, take away voices, take away platforms from people on the left. Maybe this is the last domino to fall. Maybe it's the first. But definitely take it as a lesson. And I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Were those comments, out of line by Jimmy Kimmel? I thought they were pretty benign. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and talk to you guys later.